Hi everybody. I'm going to show you how to make a Swift. I've got a Swift workshop coming up quite soon with adult art class in Perth, and the reason I think that she's chosen Swifts is because the local team, St Johnstone's, are also called the Swifts. And first of all, before you do anything else, drink a bottle of whiskey. Then you can use the box. So, what I've got is a box with some holes in it. I don't know if you can see that. And some very short lengths of willow. I think it's a Dicky Meadows type. I like it, it's nice and straight. I've got a pair of snippers and a pokey stick. You might think it's a screwdriver, but that's not what I use them for. First job is to take a stick and poke it in one of the holes, the end holes. Then check how long it's got a kink in it. We don't want that. I'll still use it, but for something else. So a stick that doesn't have a kink, and we need to turn it into sort of a rainbow. So I'm just giving it a wee measure, and I think I'll put it about here. Keep the wee skimpy bit and poke it through. Might be a bit too tall, but there's one. Now, next one, I'll put the thick end into the hole that I used the last time with the thin end. Take a measurement again. This time it's to be shorter than the first one. So I think maybe about here. I'll show you what happens. So I've got one, and then the second one. And it should be the top and bottom of a rainbow. Can you see that? It's a bit dodgy, but we're going to weave this together, and it's going to become the wings. I'll show you a wee Swift that I've done this way. There we are. Can you see him? He's lovely. I've tied his tail together so that it gives the tail a little bit of shape. So I'll leave him like that just now. Anyway, to get the wings, with the endy bits, because they're nice and thin that we cut, we're going to, this is probably the trickiest bit, well, maybe the second trickiest. We're going to tie the bottoms of this together. And we're going to do a bit of weaving as well. So take the thin end, poke it through the middle of your two sticks, just a little bit, with the long end outside ready to use as what they call your weaver. I'm going to take the thin end around and right around. I'm doing a wrap, pulling it as tight as I can along the bottom with the thin end. I'm going to try and hold, I don't know if you can see that. So there's the skimpy end, and I've tied it right around and then through the middle. I've done that so that it doesn't slide off the end when we remove the sticks from the box. And now we're going to start weaving. So with your weaver stick, you go around the inside of your rainbow into the middle, then around the outside of your rainbow and into the middle, around the inside and into the middle, around the outside and into the middle. We'll keep going like that until you've only got a bit of your stick left, of your weaver stick. And it should look a little bit, I think this willow might have done with being soaked a bit longer. You know, I soak my willow for hours and hours, sometimes days, but it should be sort of leathery. Sometimes for workshops I soak it really well so that it's soft for a beginner. So there's how it's going. Can you see that? It's a simple weave. It just goes over and under, around into the middle, around into the middle, backwards and forwards. And you do that at both ends. So I'll show you the starty again, because that's a tricky bit. Use the nice endy bit from where you cut off, and instead of going over and under at the very beginning, check this, you wrap around the whole thing and then put your skimpy bit into the middle. It's only to stop it from unraveling. Then get your weaving end, wrap around and into the middle, around and into the middle, around and into the middle, around and into the middle. You have to do this until the whole thing is filled in. So let's do one more quick lesson with doing this, because weaving is one of these things that you just have to keep plodding on with until you've done as much weaving as is necessary. The nice thing about it is that you can sit and chat while you're weaving, maybe finish the bottle of whiskey. So you've got your endy bits. When you come to the end of your weaver stick, you're best to do like to like. So this weaver stick here is this thin. Can you see that against my jumper? So you match it with the stick that you're going to start with. Now I'm going to put it over and through until it's roughly the same kind of width as the one that we left. And then all you do is you keep on weaving. And the reason for that is so that the tension is okay. And tension is when sometimes if you were doing like a ladder, it would be the same width all along. But if you did ended with a thick end and started with a thin end, it would go straight, 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 and then tighten up, and then out again, and then again, out again. So your tension is just to keep it the same kind of width, that's all. Of course, I quite often don't do what I'm telling other people to do, especially for the wee birds, because I sometimes use just the ends of willow just to do them. And I make them all sorts of ways, just in my hands without the box. But boxes can be very useful. Anyway, I'll get this to a stage where I can just leave it alone. One thing I would say about weaving is that once you've done weaving, it looks lovely. So there I am finishing on this bit with a thin end. So my next stick would be a thin end again, and you just when it's matching with the thin edge, you lay it across the same way so that it gets like a double thickness, and you can just start all over again. Keep on going, around and around, and in and out, and over and under, and all of that kind of thing, until you've got a rainbow bridge, basically. Now, I have made one earlier, and you'll see what I mean when I don't really do what I say to other people to do. So, this is going to be wings. Swift's wings fly back like this, but he needs a body. I'll just remove this from my box. It's just for speed and efficiency because it takes a long time to weave. And I'll just place him back in the box into a couple of holes. Lovely. I think I might as well just snip. With your snippings, you want them to be snipped at a sort of angle to be at the same width of your wings. I'm going to keep those wee skinny bits just in case they're useful. So now I'm going to do the tail and the head. Tricky. So we have the wee rainbow, and there's a couple of holes. So take one hole along. I've put these holes maybe 2 inches. I think that's maybe 6 centimeters, that kind of thing, apart. We're going to cross over with 2 sticks. Can you see that so far? We crisscross them below the wings, hold on to them, and poke your whips through a wee space. And you see that? I just poke that one through a wee space, and I'm going to do the same with the other one. Oh, I might have to use my pokey stick. I'm trying to make a space. So you just poke through, make a space. And put your willow through the space. Nice. Do, 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 do. Look at that. It's a saltire. That's going to be the tail. It's got to get some weaving, but we might as well do his body, hoping that you can see his head. See it against my jumper. So you just crisscross again. Can you see that? And pull one of your sticks over and through the head. So I've just wrapped one of the sticks over and pulled it through the head. This is to create a little beak effect. Once you've done that, I'm not going to remove the other stick quite yet, but I'm going to use the stick that we poked through to weave around and into the middle, over and into the middle. Tweet, tweet. I don't know, my followers will know that I have a robin that comes. And yesterday, why? But there was this little yellow bird. Sweet. It was brown and yellow. It sort of looked like a sparrow, but with a yellow breast and a bit of yellow on his head. And I looked up my Ladybird book of birds, because I prefer children's books, and it looked just like a tree creeper. Do you think that could be correct? I've never seen one here, and here we are in an industrial estate. There are trees close by, but it's just wonderful to get some of the wildlife coming in. I mean, that's my big news story. Sometimes when I arrive, and if I go to the back of my unit, the robin isn't pleased, and he flies right in to tell me to hurry up and put bird food out. Right. I've woven the wee head, and I've got a little bit of stick left, so I'm going to wrap that into the rainbow ridge wings, and that's just so that it stays in place. Now, I feel reasonably safe that I can chop off this bit without everything unwinding. We've got him looking like that. With the endy bit that we've just chopped off, you can see him flying. Don't know if my tree keeper would be fine with that. Maybe it's not a tree keeper, it looks like the picture in the book. I'll check again. So, we're going to try and get the bottom fixed in place where his tail is. Take your thin end, go to below the saltire cross area, put your stick through the middle, and we're going to weave. Can you see that? It's very difficult to see, I'm very sorry, but maybe it's just because I'm half blind. So underneath we're going to go, and like we did with the ends of the wings, I'm going to just wrap around with the thin bit where the cross is, and poke the endy through a space so that we've got a little bit of a wrap around. And now I'm going to weave in, out and round about, back and forward into what will become the tail. I started this video before, and of course I got a delivery right in the middle of it, so I'm sorry if I'm watching what vehicles are passing by. Be good if I could get this done before next big noises occur on the estate. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm doing the bottom until I've just got enough to keep the triangle open. Then go into the middle and bring your stick up towards the head, and go through the top half of the saltire, and now do a little weaving there, so that you've got the bottom of this body getting woven in. So around one side, into the middle, around the next side, and then into the middle. I'm actually the world's worst weaver, because I make willow sculptures rather than baskets. And there is a big difference. In fact, it pleases me that when you do the kind of weaving I do, it's called loose willow, which sort of describes me very well. And when you've filled in a little bit of that body, take your stick and weave it into the rainbow. Do you see that? Because we're fixing the head to, and the body to the rainbow shape of the wings. Just trying to force this bit to go in one more time. I need my pokey stick again. Just to flatten it out a bit and poke that through. From now on, it's all together, but it maybe could do with little bits of infilling. Well, it's pretty much done. I would put in a bit more infill, but sometimes we need to just get the video done. So we have this shape just now. There's one last thing to do, and that would be to trim everything up. And what I like to do is, with the tail ends, I cross them over and put a little over and through, so that they're sort of tied together. Can you see that? And then I put my swifts and my swallows and whatever under the carpet, under a rug, under a book, anything that will flatten them out a bit. So, because remember, the willow has been soaked, so now it's got to get rid of all the water that's in it. And as it dries, flattens down, and it stays in the shape that you've forced the willow to go. I'm just going to trim off, well, if you can see, I'm just going to trim off the ends of these wings. I've got like 14 pairs of secateurs, but somehow I never can find my newest pair. Same at the other side. So you've got your little bird. The one that I made earlier, I'll snip his wee tail. I only made him just before, but I'll snip his tail anyway, and you'll see it makes a bit of a difference. I like them to have soaked for a while though, to have been flattened for a while. Come on. Swifts have got quite short tails. There we are. They don't really have a back and a front, but sometimes one side does look better than the other. I think this way. There we go. Whee. Fantastic.